You're listening to Entrepreneur's Enigma, a podcast about the ups and downs of the entrepreneurial journey. Every week, your host Seth Goldstein interviews entrepreneurs from all walks of life about their entrepreneurial journeys. From store owners to Fortune 500 CEOs, we all have stories to tell. So sit back and join us for the next 20 or so minutes while we explore the entrepreneurial world.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. I am your host as always, Seth with Podcast Mastery and Goldstein Media. Today I have a friend of mine, Chris LaFay, who is the founder of Classic City Consulting, CCC. A nice little, what is that?
So it's called an alliteration. And that's the main reason I chose the name is because I suck at naming things. And I found alliteration. And I was like, that's what it's going to be.
I love it. Classic City Consulting, an agency that specializes in transforming cluttered, confusing websites into clear, conversion-driven experiences. For over 2 decades, this guy has been around. For 2 decades, Chris has been helping growing businesses cut through the digital noise and streamlining their messaging, simplifying their navigation, and turning their websites into actual business tools instead of just stupid business brochures. What are you gonna do with that? Exactly. So,
nothing.
How you doing, buddy?
It's been a good start to the week, needless to say. Thank you. Thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, you're coming off a nice little wild ride. We're talking in the pre-show how you went to see the Savannah Bananas in Texas. So you're riding high right now because those are hard tickets to get, and you got to see them. So that's fun.
I did, basically front row too. It was
rub it in.
Phenomenal. 10 out of 10. If anybody, you can get your hands on some tickets, go. It is a wonderful experience, whether or not you enjoy baseball, and it's a great business case study too.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So you've been doing this you've been doing websites for 2 decades.
Yes,
I say that shockingly when I've been doing websites for 2 decades as well, but still. It's still 2 decades is a long time to be doing the same thing. A lot of people, especially with the younger generations, they like to bounce around and do different things. So for 5 years is long for them. 2 decades,
right?
20 years. If you didn't know what a decade is, it's 10 years.
I
hope you know that. But ideally. How did this all get started? Have you always been an entrepreneur at heart? What did you do before being in Classic City Consulting?
So I got my start in elementary school, actually.
Oh, wow.
So the 2 decades is a little bit skewed because there's a portion of that was highly unprofessional. But still, when I was in elementary school, we had a book fair, and this is around the time where Harry Potter was popular. And rather than going to the front of the book fair and grabbing the Harry Potter book, 80% of all the other kids in the class did, I found a back nook and cranny of this book fair and found a book that said how to build websites for kids.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so for whatever reason, this guy bought that website book, and I actually still have it to this day. It's on my bookshelf.
Oh, that's a keeper, yeah.
That's what got me really started doing this. And in middle school, when I went up to, the next grade level, I made a few $100 by building a couple of websites, a few $100 for, being in 7th grade. That's wild. You can buy a lot of packs of baseball cards back then.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and then it just priorities here, not taxes. It's called baseball cards.
Yes, the little 99-cent grab bags were definitely the baseball card shop owner manually picked all of the most common cards and put them together in a pack for the cheapest possible thing he could do. Totally bought as many of those as humanly possible. Yes.
Yeah, of course, why not? It's
right.
Fun. It's fun.
Yes.
So 2 decades starting in elementary school. If I were to say I started websites design, I have to say 3 decades because I'm a little older than you, and I started in high school.
Okay, there you go. That's still young,
three decades. Yeah, I was a junior in high school, and we built my prep school's website in a class.
That's cool.
And that was fun. I was hooked. Sidetracked by journalism, of course, but whatever. It happens to the
Yeah.
best of us. But it happens to the best
Is
of
the
us.
is the website still live today?
No, it's changed. That original website is long gone. I can probably find it on archive.org, though. I should go look sometime. Absolutely. So, all right. So you started your entrepreneurial journey in elementary school. And have you ever worked for the man, for the woman, for the person, or have you always just done your own thing?
So I had a couple of stints in. So as soon as I graduated high school, I had somebody that was at my church that I was going to found out about the fact that I built websites, and so he was like, "Hey, the place that I work at, I do sales at this company, and we have a little like web department on the side. It wasn't really like the classic agency like you think of it kind of today.
Yeah."
It's like, would you be interested in meeting this guy over here? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And so me, as like a senior in high school, this was back during the day where I will date myself slightly, where Macromedia Flash websites were all the rage. Yeah, it was during that time.
Ouch.
And so
we've all done them. We all lived through it. Most of us survived. Most of us.
And so I show up to my job interview with a portfolio of Flash-based websites to try to get a job coding in HTML and CSS.
Ooh.
So for the folks that don't know what Macromedia Flash was, imagine showing up to a development interview with a lot of video files at your disposal. Like, that's effectively what this is. And so,
and they were everything. Like, everyone's like, look at this website, look how cool this website is. Completely not secure.
No. Now, I will say the web was a lot more unique back then.
Yes,
because every website looked so different.
But and there are impossible to navigate, though.
100%. Like, I'm so glad that there are like standards across some of this stuff, but there is this element of weirdness and uniqueness that just does not exist online anymore, unless you're doing some sort of really in-depth storytelling motif type of site where you can get away with it. But yeah, in the B2B setting, no, absolutely not. But there's that little bit of nostalgia that I kind of wish some of that would eke its way back into the picture.
It's trying. It's not succeeding very well. But I mean, you can do some animation with CSS and SVGs and PNGs and all those acronyms. You can do some fun stuff with GIFs and GIFs, whatever you want to call them. So.
Yeah. Whichever side of the aisle you sit on for that one.
Exactly. So you worked so you got the job at the web company with a bunch of.
I did that all throughout
video
college.
Files, pretty much.
I actually learned how to code HTML and CSS better through that. Shocking.
Yeah.
And so we were building websites for electric utility companies, like small mom and pop electric utility companies. That was the niche. And so I met a lot of really great people there. A lot of the folks that we had on our tiny little team are still people that I talk to this day. Ended up leaving that job right after college. I found a full-time job that wasn't really full-time, where I was it's a wonderful thing. And I was I was employee number 2, and they hired me because I could design and develop out this whole, it was this entrepreneur guy. He had an idea for an app, and so we built it within WordPress.
They all do.
Yeah. And so I had that gig for about 9 months. And then that quite literally faded away. Yeah. And all during that entire time, I had clients. I had website projects from people that I know. Yeah, exactly. And so by the time that that full-time job for 9 months was fading away, I had a contact with a handful of different agencies where, they had 10 hours of work a week, 15 hours of work a week. And so while that job was fading down, I was basically kind of like a fractional web person, basically, for these agency folks. Yeah. And you start stacking those things up together. You start stacking projects up together. Eventually you realize, I have a little bit of a payroll here. What's happening? So that's kind of where everything got really started, was around 2016, give or take.
There you go. From elementary school through college, and the rest is history. We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Exactly. Yep. Decade doing it kind of loosey-goosey, and about a decade actually legitimately trying.
Legitimately trying. Oh, I love that. So in your mind, what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur?
obviously, the simple answer to that is the freedom and the flexibility
Yeah,
and all
of
that kind of fun
course.
stuff,
Yeah.
which is all 100% true. That's really kind of going back to the very beginning of when that full-time job was lost. And I had a couple of these like small-time gigs when I was debating, do I go find another full-time job or do I keep doing this?
Yeah.
And during that time, and I still think this is true to this day, I would rather have my income, whether I own an agency or not.
Yeah.
I love the idea of having 4 or 5 people pay me part-time.
Yeah.
Rather than having a single reliance on a full-time paycheck. And that's the flexibility and all that jazz is very much key, but it's not, it is important. And it's the one thing that I would die on that hill. I really love the the life that my wife and I have been able to do and be able to travel and go places. But also as a part of that foundation, knowing that one client, aka a full-time job, does not control my 0 to 100% of my paycheck. That is actually the biggest. So if for whatever crazy reason in the next, something happened to my company and we didn't exist as we exist today, my goal would be to find multiple pieces of part-time stuff that I could do. And that is something that I highly recommend to a lot of new entrepreneurs is find a couple of part-time things before you go all in on what you're doing, because it's not as easy as the people on LinkedIn make it seem to just make $10,000 a month. It's simple. It's not.
It is absolutely not. And on the flip side, what keeps you up at night as an entrepreneur?
Honestly, finances. And I will caveat that with very little actually legitimately keeps me up at night.
Yeah, I sleep pretty good too. My wife hates that I sleep very well at night. But yeah, finances is the big thing for an entrepreneur because, I mean, it's, live or die by the payroll, that kind of thing,
And that's been the most the most interesting thing that I've learned over the years is, I'm going to boil it down simply, like the differences between accrual and cash basis of financing. And I realize that sounds so utterly technical, and I actually don't. I understand them. I do. But for the longest time, we'll zoom back from 2016, those first 3 years of being, actually knowing that I was running an agency. So from 16 to 19.
Knowing, wait, I'm actually doing this. Wow. Yeah.
Exactly. I did not know how to keep track of any of my finances. I did not realize that in that 3-year period, and this is a whole episode in of itself, so I won't dive into the details, but I didn't know that we were losing money every day for that 3-year period. Like, yikes. I would look at the bank. Yeah. And and the way that it happened was because it was so slow.
Yeah,
is that you do some mental math and you feel like you're fine. And so it's like when you take your bank account and you take accounts receivable, you're like, oh, we're doing okay. But when that number
there's taxes, and then there's subcontractors, there's expenses, it's gross versus net. Absolutely. Gross always looks better than net. Always looks better than net. And net is depressing as fuck. And we just got the explicit tag, everybody. Woo, but it's depressing as fuck. So.
And when you're losing 1% month over month, you don't, like that 1%, you don't really notice at all because it's such a slow bleed, which is why it took about 3 years for it to fully realize.
Like, oh my God.
Exactly. And so not really knowing, now that I understood that and I put some guardrails in place, sleep comes in a lot better now.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then the larger the agency, in general, the larger the problems and the larger the payroll gets. And if you don't keep track of where your money is going and how is it exiting the business, there's so many ways that slow bleeds happen that you're just not cognitively aware of. And so that is the one thing that I could go down rabbit holes with entrepreneurs about, which is managing finance as well.
Oh, it's so tough. And a lot of us are, especially in our realm, we're very much creatives. We're not financiers. We're not financial people. We're right brain, not left brain. So small bleeds can happen, and you have to catch them before they become a gushing wound. I went there.
It's a great metaphor. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But so, what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
That's a good question. I would say the thing that I've realized the most, especially over the last couple of years, is that let me actually back up. So over the last few years, we've had a couple of very just not so great situations, mostly dealing along like the financial side of things.
Oh, almost always that. Yeah.
Totally. And I realized at one point over those few years that, because there was a point where I thought like, we were like shutting down was going to be imminent.
That's the worst feeling.
And which it's terrible. And most every entrepreneur goes through that at some point in their life. Like it's bound to happen. And if you're listening to this and you have not felt that way before, then God bless. That is a wonderful thing.
But you're also not there yet, because I think every entrepreneur has to fail. Failing is not failure, I always say. And it's kind of like, what? Failing is, it's called a pivot. It's like, all right, that didn't work. What do you do next?
And when I realized during that time in particular how much my personal identity was wrapped up in my business. To where if my business didn't exist, then what good am I? Mm-hmm. And to put a slightly different angle on it than just that, because a lot of people say that, is what I realized was if I didn't have my business, my friend groups would all be the exact same. The types of events and different things that I did with those friends would not change. Mm-hmm. My wife would not change at all. Like nothing, like the major portions of my life that were
not tied into your business. Yeah.
And those wouldn't change whether I was the founder of a company or an employee of a company. Now, obviously, there would be different lifestyle changes. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day,
maybe even better, because you might actually have a recurring money coming in.
Right? And so all those things got buttoned up in general. That's the very short version of that story. But more so than just the that tie to your personal and business lives being too tied together. Yeah. Just knowing that a lot of life just won't change. And honestly, I do know that there's some people out there to where their business and personal is tied so closely together that if their business does fail, some of these social connections might break apart. Yeah. And I realize that my experience with that might not be the same as other people's.
Oh, no, it shouldn't be. Absolutely not, yeah.
And so I do also, like, there's a challenge in that as well, is that if that is the case to where it is so tied together, I know the thing that brought a lot of value to my life is having friends and communities and circles that were not forged only within business. Now, some of them got started because of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now those relationships are a lot more multifaceted. They're not just entrepreneurs. I play music with some of them and I go see shows with others of them, and et cetera. Yeah. And it's sometimes hard to do that. And so it is something that I do challenge a lot of people with, which is expand the friends that you have in life. And I know, again, easier said than done. I totally understand it. I'm an introvert. I like having like 3 friends. And so it's not simple, but it has been a wonderful thing for me.
Love it, my friend. What a way to not answer the question.
Wait, did I really not answer? Oh, so what is the? Oh, wait. So what is the thing that? Okay, so what is the thing that I take with me? So all of that context is to say the thing that I take with me is the fact that my business is not who I am, and that if something ever were to happen to my business, I don't lose out on a vast majority of my life. That's the summary. That was the reason for the story. I do have a problem with that. I end up telling the story about the question, but I forget to summarize it.
I was letting you go with that because I was like, that is a great story. I would love it. But I'm like, he didn't answer the question. He talked around the question, and I love that. And that's what makes podcasting great, is because it's like, wow, that is a good question to come out. So I love it. So Chris, where is the biggest watering hole online? Where do you hang out the most online?
I hang out the most online on LinkedIn, as well as I have an email that I send out to mostly like founders and marketers in general. And so those are the two most common places that I live. And my name is Chris LaFay, LaFay. And the thing is, if you can't find me on LinkedIn, you probably misspelled my name, because I'm the only one on LinkedIn with the name of Chris LaFay.
Oh,
so,
and it's L-A, not L-E.
That is correct. LaFay.
He's very unique.
I've had a lot of practice spelling it over the years.
Oh yeah, it's tough. Everyone asks about Goldstein. They're always like, "How do you spell it?" It's Goldstein. I'm like, it's the only way you spell it. It's never I before A. It's E before I. It's always E before I. And it's never Stein. It's Steen. And then it's like, oh, people. That's all I gotta say.
I agree.
Well, on that note, we'll see everyone next week.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please consider giving us a review in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps us reach new listeners. If you like Entrepreneur's Enigma, consider the other shows on the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcast.net.